So apart from the ship, which is pretty decent, one of the other good things that have come out of this pack is the buffs themselves. So I did a video on that earlier this week. They're a good alternative for non-Romulan characters to get instead of SROs. So they give a 3% critical chance and is it 3% critical severity? They're all screwed up though right now. They're giving more than what they should. They do stack. Apparently there's some question as to whether or not they stacked. I never really questioned that, but because most of the things in terms of duty officers do, at least with the SROs, 3 and 3. Yeah, so I think the first one is giving you 4, and then they're all 4 critical chance, and then I think they're all giving you 5 critical severity in the testing that I did. So even if we forget about that, at 3 and 3, that's pretty good. And the price for these are holding steady on the exchange at around 6 mil or so. And so let's talk about just kind of the differences a little bit. So in my video, after I made it and posted it, I thought of some ways that I probably could have made that a little bit clear. So with SROs, you have fleet SROs and you have non-fleet SROs. Non-fleet SROs can come from duty officer missions, and you can buy them off of the exchange if you're a Romulan captain. And you can slot them. They're very inexpensive. That's why, one of the reasons that Romulans in the past were so good, because you could just buy them easily and you could pick up different classes of them, right? So you could stack your entire, ship loadout with Romulan operatives, engineer, science, and tactical. So they changed that with the fleet one. So in the past, the fleet ones, you could only get tactical officers, and that was the only way that non-Romulan characters could get SROs. And on most builds, you're only going to have 2 tactical officers, so basically you're limited to having 2 of them, which gave a big advantage to Romulan tunes, because you could get all the different classes and you could buy them from the exchange. So they made an adjustment where at the fleet you could get all the different classes, so that was really nice. But they did make some corrections and upped the rarity, which also upped the cost of them. So they're fairly expensive. They're 100 and something fleet marks, and I think 60k dilithium. Don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere fairly high, 40 or 60 k. And they so that gave access to everybody in the game, regardless of your what your faction was. Romulan operatives that were available in all the different classes. But they're fairly expensive. So these bridge officers, depending on what your resource and distribution looks like, if you have a decent amount or a good method for grinding out EC, these are really easy to get at any level. Now, if you're a Romulan character, so with the changes they made, they basically made it equal so everybody could get all the same stuff. But if you're a Romulan character with the non-fleet bridge officers, those are bugged, and they have been for a super long time, and I don't believe they'll ever be fixed. And so with the Romulan operatives, there's 3 different versions of them that give differing levels of critical chance and severity. The bug that's happening is if you slot one, you're getting all of those versions on the one. So if you slot a superior Romulan operative, you're going to get the regular operative stats and the basic operative stats. So Romulans still have an edge because of that issue with the way that the different versions of the trait are stacking up on each individual bridge officer. I know this has been going back and forth for a long time, and again, based off of what I've seen, it doesn't seem like that's gonna get fixed. And if it does, it'll end up breaking like 5 other things. So I kind of hope they don't, at least in that regard. I do wish they could fix it without breaking anything else, because then that would make it fair and it would kind of level that playing field. So if you are a Romulan and you're trying to build up your crit chance and crit severity, you're gonna want to go with non-fleet RSOs. buy them off the exchange or run the different missions that you can to get a hold of those. If you are anything else and you don't have a lot of fleet resources, or maybe you're not in a fleet or whatever, then these Watcher bridge officers would be the ones that you'd want to pick up. Because at 6 mil a pop, you could pick one up a week if you're grinding it out, if you weren't playing a ton, and it would be fairly easy to get enough EC to fully build out your ship with these officers. Let me just catch up on chat. Sorry, that was kind of long-winded, but it gets so so confusing. In the video I was doing, I had saved a loadout with no bridge officers, and then a loadout with all of these bridge officers, and then a loadout with all of my SROs, and was demonstrating how they're really similar. But I did it on a Romulan character with non-fleet SROs. So when I switched over, the SROs just blew these guys out of the water in terms of numbers, but that's because of that bug that's happening. So I hope that makes sense. If you need a little more detail on that, if you're newer, or you're just getting into trying to build out your bridge officers a little bit better and you have questions, join the Discord server down in the description, and you can ask questions in there, and we can walk you through that a little bit better potentially.